I never walked in the street again. I never stepped off the motherfucking curb again. And even today, when I'm walking down the sidewalk and Sally and I are gonna cross the street, I let her step into the street first. Today, I'm 74 fucking years old. That was 70 years ago. And I never forgot it. If you had had more of the dog whisperer training, Pavlov was right. The Russian scientist that did shock therapy, etc. Unfortunately, fear works, and love doesn't. Most of you had bicycles, little trainer bikes, you know, when you grew up, and they had little trainer wheels on the side, right? And then one day your mom decided to take the trainer wheels off, or your dad, right? And what happened? You fell over on your big fucking melon head, right? And what happened? Your mom came running over to you, right? My poor baby, and they put the trainer fucking wheels back on. Wrong. I tell the story, and it's not a fucking story. And when I told Pennsylvania, the kids there, the fucking kids turned white. I used to run out in the street. And my kid brother that was there, which made it special, because he hadn't heard me talk in 20 years, and he's getting ready to retire himself. And he didn't know this story either. And I used to run out in the street all the time. I was a precocious little shit. I was a bad kid. I was a bad apple. And my dad decides, now he didn't have a dad, my dad. My dad's died before he was born. And he just decides, well, I'm gonna break him of this fucking habit. Just like the dog whisperer kind of break him. So he says, if I hit him with a car, he'll know that cars are bad and he won't go on the street anymore. Now just saying that sounds awful. Listen to me saying it. So we had an old 1947, 1948 Willys. A Willys is a Jeep product. It looked like a Jeep from World War II, but it had runner boards. You know, the things on the side where you can step when you open the door, there's a runner board. And that runner board had a piece of chrome, because in those days they used real metal to make cars and chrome. It had a piece of chrome that was sticking out from the runner board. So my dad decided he's gonna bump me with a right fender, kind of, at 1 or 2 miles an hour, knock me down, and I'll teach me a lesson. Instead, he hooks under my kneecap. It goes through this side of my kneecap. I'm standing like this, and it comes out this side of my kneecap, and he drags me. I'm screaming and yelling, but an old Willys made a lot of noise. You couldn't hear it. And my mother is off to the left, going hysterical. And they take me to the hospital. They stitch up. My knee was never the same. And well, now I have artificial knees, but I never walked in the street again. I never stepped off the motherfucking curb again. And even today, when I'm walking down the sidewalk and Sally and I are gonna cross the street, I let her step into the street first. Today, I'm 74 fucking years old. That was 70 years ago. And I never forgot it. If you had had more of the dog whisperer training, Pavlov was right. The Russian scientist that did shock therapy, etc. Unfortunately, fear works, and love doesn't. What else about Baron?
It's his birthright to be successful.
And in my judgment, it's all of our birthrights, because whoever, this is the only religious, quasi-religious thing I say, whoever put us here to be all we can be, not a fraction thereof. So it's all our birthrights. Although I told the kids from Nepal, they have no chance. They don't unless they leave Nepal. And it's almost not impossible, but almost impossible to leave Nepal. Because they put a restraint on brain drain. Because that's the only future they have. Because only so many people come there to see fucking Kathmandu and the Yak and Yeti hotel, famous hotel, and Everest. When my dad's father, excuse me, because my dad didn't have when my dad's brother, older brother, and older sister would say, Manny, aren't you being too hard on Dan? Me, because he was beating me. And then he'd turn to his older brother and say, well, how's your program working out with your crack, heroin addict, poor daughter? And then he'd turn to his sister and say something to the effect that, how is your program working out with your incarcerated, convicted felon son? Now see, you would never say that to your brother and sister if you lived a million fucking years, even if it were true. You would never, ever, ever. Because down deep inside, you still want your brother and sister to like you and arguably love you. So whenever my dad was accused of being too harsh on me, and he was a harsh son of a bitch, there's no question about that, he would say, well, how's your fucking program working out? And he doesn't even have to ask you how your program is working out with your kid, because very few kids, when I became an adult, so to speak, were more successful than I was. My dad only had one goal for me: keep me alive till I reach the age of reason. The last time I got arrested, I was 32 and a half, and it was for assault with a deadly weapon on a policeman. So it took me a while to grow up. I used to think I was a bad motherfucker. Well, I was a bad motherfucker. I wasn't that bad. But okay, what else about Tyson? Yes, sir.
Confidence is key in achievement.
An achievement. Well, confidence is everything. Not just this group, but all groups, including the meatheads on YouTube, have little or no self-esteem, little or no self-confidence, little or no self-worth. But you're fortunate. 98% of the people on the planet are introverts like you. Only 2% are extroverts like me, and only 10% of that 2% are loudmouth alpha males like me. But 98% of all the high-performance people in the world are introverts, just like you. You, as a group, and all the groups, have something in common with Zuckerberg, Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. You're all introverts. And I just named 4 of the most successful people in the last 50 years, right? They're just like you. Introverts. Okay, what was the other thing you saw? You saw, okay, yes ma'am.
Tyson was largely ignorant. And
Not largely, he still is ignorant.
but he could do what he was told. He just did what his coach said, and it just worked out.
You won't. I'm just telling you. Oh, you wasted your money. You won't. You can't. Your DNA is not wired that way. Okay, you also saw the move. Oh, you saw the backward bicycle. For those of you that, how many engineers in the group? How many multiple degrees in the group? Okay. How many, that includes doctors. Okay. Okay. You have less chance of making this work. If you make it work, you succeed faster. But you've been taught in fact patterns that are not consistent with QLA, because QLA doesn't have a fact pattern. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 in QLA. And who was able to learn the backward bicycle quickest? The kid. That's why we have so many kids that are so fucking successful. We're going to show you 13, 14, 15-year-old kids making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Take away about the bike.
You can learn.
Relearn. I never got to, I had the bike here. I could never do it. I never would spend enough time to do it. I'm sure that if I spend weeks or months, I could, but so what? I got the point. And that's another thing that differentiates high performance people. We get it quicker. We don't have to ultimately figure it out. Because ultimately figuring out, spreadsheeting it, so to speak, or in the old days, Lotus 1, 2, 3, in the old days, is procrastination. It's procrastination. Remember I told you about lifting weights in the gym. You're pretending. None of you are going to be Schwarzfucker in your lifetime. I do not know one billionaire that's got 4 or 5% body fat. Let's flip it the other way. In the history of, well, this is a Trumpism. I exaggerate like the president. In the history of the planet, there's never been a billionaire 4 or 5% body fat guy. Never. What does that tell you? Success leaves clues. Okay, and then last but not least, the founder. The story, the life and legend of one of the most miserable human beings that ever walked the planet, Kroc, Mr. Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, the Golden Arches. What are the takeaways about the Golden Arches man? Yes, ma'am.
Persistence.
Just willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Ruthless. Cut them out.
Cold calling never killed anybody.
What?
Cold calling never killed anybody.
Correct. You're only 2,000 cold calls away from being rich. I'm going to say it again, real slow. 2,000 cold calls away from being rich. We had a guy, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. He said, if I had believed what you said, I would have left the seminar that day. And I didn't say it on the first day. Now I say it on the first day so we can thin you out a little. I would leave because I made 1,950, I forget how many, and we've got some other guys that actually say how many cold calls. And by rich, most of the kids, their first deal, they wind up making, roughly speaking, $1 million for themselves. It's actually $1,140,000 or $1,170,000 when you pencil all the bullshit out. From the first deal, the bottom line equates to you approximately $1 million. Now that's not rich to me, but okay. But what other program have you got that made you $1 million? None. Now a few of you got a net worth of 2, 3, 4 million. It's taken you all your life to do that. Or as my dad would say, how is your program working out?